How's it going, everybody? So I'm back once again, this time with another movie review. This time we're going to talk about the latest Blumhouse film, the sequel to Happy Death Day, Happy Death Day to You. Now, the first Happy Death Day really caught me off guard back in 2017. I actually really had a really fun time with it because it was like this Groundhog Day style film with the horror elements involved, which was really cool. Obviously, we've had the Groundhog Day elements before, but never in this kind of way with this serial killer that every time it kills you, you reset the day and you got to find out who the killer is. I was really curious how they were going to actually expand on that in a sequel because I figured it was just like a one and done kind of idea. And in Happy Death Day to You, we actually find out why the whole time loop in the first film happened and kind of rehash it a little bit because, obviously the plots are linked. It's really interesting in the way that they decided to explain why the whole time loop happened. I'm not going to go into why or, spoiler-free review, but it's definitely out there. I was not expecting that because it doesn't really ruin the first film, but it kind of loses its mystique a little bit of how everything happened in the first film with the way they explained how all the time loop stuff actually happened, since it plays a major role into this sequel. So that was a little jarring, just the whole sci-fi kind of elements. It's interesting because it almost feels like a horror kind of version of Back to the Future 2. Even they allude to it in the film, that's why it made sense, because they definitely have similar elements in the way that the stories are structured. It was actually kind of cool to see the sci-fi elements in this, because it is supposed to be like a horror comedy kind of film, and it is horror and there is comedy, but it definitely feels a lot more of a sci-fi drama at points, which is kind of weird with the way the tone shifts, but I still enjoyed everything in this film. I mean, it's still a fun time. Like, you're going to want to watch the first film before going into this one, otherwise you may not get as much of an emotional impact or not understand 100% what's going on, because it's definitely one of those movies that treats it like you've seen the first one. Like, they give you a little bit of a, glimpse back into what happened in the first one, but you really need to get the whole plot from the first film to understand everything that's going on in this one. Now, Jessica Rothe is one of my favorite things about the first Happy Death Day. I thought she did a phenomenal job in that, and she does a really great job in this as well, not just with the whole horror elements and all that stuff, but she's actually really funny. She was funny in the first film, but I think in this one she's even funnier. There's a lot of really good comedy in this. Not all of it lands. Obviously, there are some jokes that I don't really feel landed, but for the most part, especially with the whole Groundhog Day element, you can definitely tell that they had a lot more creative fun with the different deaths and all the different time loop stuff in this. So if you enjoyed that stuff about the first Happy Death Day, you're going to enjoy that even more in this one, because they probably double down or do it at least just as much as the first Happy Death Day when it comes to that stuff with her and her character. But she's obviously going to be more annoyed with what's going on in this one, especially since it's happening again. I am genuinely going to be curious how this film is received by a lot of people, because it's definitely not the most conventional horror film. There are some things in this that I definitely think they tried to branch out and do their own unique kind of thing with their twists and turns in this, and I think some of them do land, not all of them land. It's just going to be curious because most of us are groomed, with these standard horror films and the jump scare and the dumb characters and all that, and they do try to break away from those tropes for the most part and make this unique story. And some of it's weird. I'm not gonna lie. Some of it is weird with the time loop and why they explained it, and I kind of wish they hadn't explained the whole time loop thing, but I guess you kind of have to if you're gonna, with the way the first one ended and how her getting out and how is it gonna happen again, which is kind of why I was kind of curious why they were gonna make a sequel in the beginning. But, I still had fun with this film. I actually still really enjoyed it. They're supposed to be making a third one. There is like a mid-credits scene in this that obviously it's going to be even more wonky than this film when it comes to the whole plot, because the way that things end in the mid-credits scene, it's definitely going to set up for an interesting third installment if the film's successful enough, which it probably will be because horror films are very cheap to make, and the first one did so well. It almost makes me wonder if there's going to be more sci-fi horror elements than just a straight-up like slasher kind of villain with Groundhog Day elements like the first one and this one. It's going to be interesting. I'll just leave it at that, because I don't want to go into spoilers. You definitely want to go into this film not knowing a lot of the plot, because actually a lot of the trailers are pretty misleading. A lot of the trailers makes you think that the movie's going to go one way, and they actually, for once, the trailers really don't reveal too much, which is an interesting aspect I liked, actually. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed Happy Death Day to You. It's not the perfect film by any means, but it's definitely an interesting flick. I think if you enjoyed the first Happy Death Day, you're going to enjoy Happy Death Day to You. I definitely don't recommend going into this without seeing the first one, though. Otherwise, you may be a little lost at times, or some of these things with these characters you might not completely understand, because they show them a little bit, but you don't get the full picture if you hadn't seen the first film. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Happy Death Day to You. It comes out this weekend if you want to check it out. Once you do, leave a comment below. What'd you think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? it? Did you like the first one more? Are you excited that the direction that they're going in for the third film? Are you even looking forward to a third film? Do you think it should be made? Let any of those questions, leave a comment below. Let's get a discussion going about the film. But thank you so much for checking out my little review. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like. Hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all my movie reviews, trailer reactions, unboxings, and more. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.